Hi everyone. I wanted to do a video on all of my Boots Tyner vintage babies. These are the Sugar Britches sculpt, and they're all vintage except for the silicone pour here sitting in the center. I do have one other Boots Tyner baby, and I'll show you her too at the end of the video, but I just wanted to do a little comparison video of um, the porcelain versus the vinyl versus the new silicone reproduction, and a little bit about what the bodies look like if you buy a vintage kit to put together yourself. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first little baby I'm going to show you is this kit that I haven't put together yet. This is the um, so their head, and like she is not attached at all. So I'm just gonna pick up her head here for a second. So on the back of the head here, you can see up at the top it says Sugar Britches. The britches part, the little B section is a little bit worn here. Reproduction. So that means that someone else purchased this mold, this mold kit, and they purchased it through Boots Tyner, and they were able to pour their own silicone. And within that kit, it looks like a big white block that has the indentation of the face and the back of the head on the back, and you can kind of see where the seam goes. It goes like up around and then up around the top of the head. This one's seam actually looks really, really good, you guys. So I'll have to show you on one of my one of my other pours that you can actually see the seam from the mold in. But usually you can't see it that well on porcelain. But anyway, so the reproduction just means that this was not one of the original dolls poured and by Boots Tyner. But you can see here that the mold from this one was in 1986, and then the person who poured this they were able to carve into the mold, not the doll here, but the actual white mold that you pour into, LD, and then this was poured in 1987. Woo! So this is like old as I am. So anyway, so I bought this kit. I always find them on eBay. You can find some on Etsy, but I wanted to get like the full body and hands and everything instead of buying piece by piece, because I'm starting to paint porcelain and trying to put Boots Tyner dolls together on new Reggie dolls cuddle bodies and try to bring this baby back and bring back the love of porcelain, and that you can actually still play with porcelain if you're just really fragile. And the head is the most fragile part, so you're going to be really careful with the head anyway. So anyways, you can see like inside there and how thin that the porcelain is. But it feels very sturdy to me. So what I would do, I would weight the inside of the head with a pantyhose with glass beads, and then I'd add that in there, and then I'd add a polyfill to prevent that from moving around, and add more polyfill around the glass beads too, because you don't want to like move the head and then hear like clunk, 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 clunk moving around. So that's how I would do with that. And then you can see right around the edge here, this little crease, that is where I would attach the head onto the top of the body. And whenever I do it, I'm going to use zip ties. But all of the original dolls, you can see here, they were put together just by this really thick string. I don't know if you'd consider this twine or string, but that's what that that's what that is for. And then you see the two little hands, and here are the Sugar Britches hands here, and you can see right here where it has Tyner on there, 1986. So here's the one hand, and it's just a quarter. And the little pinky is out. I do have the paperwork on the original paperwork that goes with the 1986 vinyl kit. I'll have to go pull that out so I can show you that along with the vinyl kit. So you can see a little bit of coloring, a little bit of shading was added to this hand. So I'll have to, whenever I paint this, I'll have to make sure that I kind of match over that. So other than that, it really wasn't. It was like someone was messing around with color, but then felt like giving up. So you can see how the hands look here for the Sugar Britches baby. And then whenever you come to the bodies, the body kit, you see here's the one arm. And I've seen a couple different varieties of these kits, although it's made with the same material. And this one was already stuffed, so you feel like there's, like, you can see in here, there's little poly beads in here, and then there's some poly filled that you can see up at the top sticking out there, same as right at the tip here. And again, no zip ties, all string, so there wasn't any plastic in the doll besides the beads. And then the other arm is the same way. And the hands would go down at the bottom, and then you would be attaching the arms at the top. And there were many different ways that people were attaching, and it came with this string, very thick string, where it was going in one hole and out the other, and then it was actually attached to this one in one hole and out the other. So like the long piece of string went in like that. And I have one doll here that I'm going to show you where the arms were literally just hanging around the head. So like they took the string and tied it around and then tied it in a knot here. And then once you place the head on, the arms would not be able to come off because of the head. And then I have other dolls that were connected with a joint, like a plastic joint inside the doll, where if you felt inside the arm, you would have that plastic rotator. Then I have another doll, and I'm going to show you all of these, that has a pin right here, like a button, and it is buttoned on. And then I have another one that has, it's a more solidified button. It's just like an iron or a steel button, and then it is joined just by itself. It doesn't go the whole way through the body connecting. Now the legs are already attached to this body, but there are some beads coming out of the holes. If you look down, that's what I have, are still sitting in the bag. Because I'm going to have to take these legs off and put some stuffing in here around where where the string comes out, because otherwise I don't want all of these little poly pellets coming out of the baby. It's kind of weird. That also means that the poly pellets are just loose in here. They're not in a stocking or anything. But this is the little rivets here. You can see that it goes through one leg. I'm sorry. Yeah. And is connected with just a plain button, like nothing fancy. There you can see. And it's loose to the body because they wanted to be able to have that realistic movement. And then it goes through the body to the other side where you can see my poly pellets coming out with that thick thread or string, and then goes and connects to the other button on the other side. And that's where the knot is, holding the legs together. And then the body itself is just full of poly pellets. There's only a little itty bitty bit of stuffing up at the top, but for the most part, this is just a big sack of poly pellets. And the legs, it is all poly pellets, no stuffing at all, which it feels really great. The weight feels really great. But I'm going to redo the legs and reattach them so the poly pellets aren't going to be pouring out everywhere. Then I'm also going to figure out how to attach the arms without the string method, because I'm going to show you in a second what it looks like to have the arms just hanging around. It looks really weird. So I'm going to figure out a new way to do those. I might end up buying joints for this baby, but I haven't quite decided yet. So anyway, so that's kind of what she looks like without being all finished or put together. You can see that the nostrils are closed, that they are not open, where you can, like, sometimes the nostrils are open and then you put like black felt in here. I'm also going to put a magnetic pacifier with her. So on the inside, I'm going to add a strong magnet right behind the lips, and then have like a felt pad on the top of the pacifier so it won't damage the porcelain at all. But then she'll be able to take a little pacifier. And you can see that her eyes were designed to have glued on eyelashes or no eyelashes at all. These are not supposed to be painted. And those were actual notes in the instructions from Boots Tyner, that the way that the sculpt was not made to have painted on eyelashes. You can paint the eyebrows, but the eyelashes were meant to be glued, or just don't put any on at all. I do have an example of the eyelashes missing, but that's on the awake baby. All my sleeping ones have eyelashes glued. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and move on to a finished porcelain. So this is porcelain. Okay, I'm going to move on to the finished porcelain baby. Okay, so next I have the finished porcelain baby sugar britches. Now the difference with this reproduction one, whenever these hands were poured, they have this like hollowed out section. I have another doll that has the hollowed out section hands too. So I'm guessing that has to deal with the mold, because this baby was not meant to hold anything. So like she didn't have something attached to her hand. So like she's not missing something. How some dolls who have a hole here have like wired, and they have like the hand like wired to the mouth. I have another Boots Tyner baby that has that, where she's sucking her finger. But these hands, they are the same mold. I'll grab the hands over here just so you can see them together. So they are the same. It's just one was hollowed. And you can tell that it wasn't like cut out, that was through the mold. So I'm guessing that they probably stuck something in the mold whenever pouring that. But I have not poured porcelain before, so I'm really not 100%, but just showing you what those look like. All right, so I did not make this one, but I did fix the wig on her, because her wig that she had was horrible. It was all crazy. And the wig I have on this other porcelain, her little sister here, I had to take off, and I have not replaced it yet. So anyway, you can see here that she does have her eyelashes glued on. This was done by the original reproduction artist. I did not do that. And she just has her lips painted and very slight rosiness to her cheeks. But other than that, no other details. Her hands were not painted at all. So I'm kind of excited to do something with them, like I said, in my porcelain adventures. Now I'm going to show you how her body is put together. I'm just going to go ahead and unsnap her dress real quick. All right, so with this baby, her arms are strung together at the top. So she does not have any of those rivets put in. And then they did that, I can't remember what that is called, that zippered type of stitch where you just like pull it and it tightens it, kind of like a ladder stitch almost, I guess. And anyways, so that was pulled taut and then sewn through the neck, the little neck notch there where the string goes to tie on the neck, into the other arm, and then like I said, whatever that stitch is called, I'm sorry, that gathering stitch there, I can't think right now. And then tied and connected through the back, right by the back of the neck where the head is also connected. So they have that where both of the knots are in one place right at the back of the neck. So this is definitely more clean looking than the next baby that I'm going to be showing you. It's kind of crazy. It is still loose, you can see. So like if this would fall off, if this string would break or become worn or whatever, it would definitely fall apart. Now this doll is also very, very old, but you can't tell because, you know, I keep very good care of all my dolls. But anyway, you just have to be careful, you know, if you're playing with her or if a child is playing with her, that her arms would just fall off and this would come undone, and then you'd have like poly pellets everywhere. Now her legs, you can see, I did end up having to tighten up her legs a little bit because they were kind of hanging off of her. But she has a big button on her legs, holding her legs together. And she has one on the other side too, but she's kind of sitting on it there. And that's how she is put together. And that string goes through the body just like the first doll that I showed you on how to put together your baby. But yeah, so that's how her arms are sewn on and what her body looks like. And this body all filled with poly pellets. So she's a pretty heavy baby, you know, a little over 4 pounds. So yeah, they feel very realistic. Now, her head is not weighted. So to me, if I would change her, and if I do decide to try and repaint at all, then I would definitely take off her head and add weight in her head. Because right now, like, her head is so light, it just feels a little bit disproportionate with the rest of her body. All right, next I'm going to go ahead and move on to the awake version of Sugar Britches. All right, so here is, I think she looks the most grumpy out of all of the babies. This is one of my work in progress babies. She is the awake version of Sugar Britches. And she does not have eyelashes. You can see the sculpt, what she looks like without eyelashes on. I'll probably glue some on her to make her look maybe a little bit more cheerful. I'm not sure. She is definitely a little grump. But anyway, she also has her eyebrows painted, which you haven't seen yet. Because this little one does not have eyebrows. And the first one I showed you wasn't painted at all. So you can kind of get an idea of the eyebrows on there. Now, I did not paint her at all, so that's whoever her reproduction artist was. Her hands, also not painted, but she does have that filled in section up here, so she does not have hollowed hands. So I always find that interesting. And her hands also feel heavier, and she does not have any weight in her hand. So, like I said, maybe that's just like a preference or something about that other one. Not exactly sure about that. All right. Now, for her wig was really, really bad. So I took it off, and I'm still in the process of trying to get the rest of this wig glue off of her and trying to pull out the rest of this hair, but I am having a lot of trouble trying to get this stuff. It is like solid on here, this glue. So I have to find a medium here to break that down. And on her head, it's very, very hard to see. Like, I could make out sugar britches on here on the video here. I'm sure you guys won't be able to see anything, but I can see the little Jesus fish down at the bottom, but I can't make anything else out. I might have to take like some paper and do a pencil rubbing on there to see if I can get any other information about the artist. But yeah, the back of her head is really smooth. So whoever did this reproduction artist, it's hard to say if it was just like that inside the mold or if they like messed up the mold or sanded it off or something, or just after so long, maybe they just didn't clean it very well. But you can also see on this one, the crease in the mold. And that's what I was trying to show you before on the original baby. You can see the front part of the mold is the face and the ears, and then the back part is the remaining part of the skull here. And then the ear is a separate piece that puts in. So you have like the front of the head, the back of the head, and then the two ears that close up that entire square. And then you pour in from the bottom. So that's that one. And then you can see with this one here that her head is attached with string. Okay, so she doesn't have a zip tie. She just has string in there. Or I'm sorry. Wait, maybe she does have a zip tie, I think, now that I'm feeling it in here. Yep, my bad. She totally does have a zip tie. Now that I feel this little nub, those are just extra strings from the cloth. So this one has it looks like a black zip tie. A black zip tie attaching her head. Her head is not weighted. Okay, so it's pretty floppy. I'll go ahead and unsnap her little dress so you can see how her body looks. Okay, so here's her body, and I was actually wrong. It must be the vinyl that has her limbs on around the head. Anyway, so this baby, she has the joints in her. So she does not have the buttons on either side. She's sewn at the top, and then she has the plastic joint connectors in her arms and also down in her legs. So she does not have the little side button on her legs anywhere. So she is just fully jointed, and this is probably my favorite way to connect the baby. I think they stay together better. And they're more posable, I think, without having to worry about you breaking a string. So yeah, so that is how this body's put together. I'll go ahead and move on to the final baby. Here is the vinyl reproduction of the Boots Tyner Sugar Britches. And just so you can see that even the paint job on this one, this was purchased directly through the company, and I'll show you the information on the back of her head. This is her original outfit and her original bonnet. She is missing her shoes and her tights though. But this one here was one of the ones that were able to be ordered through the little order sheet. I do have all of her paperwork, and if you look at her details video or her box opening, I believe I have it on there. You can see the paperwork that went with her, and it's just so cool that she is so well preserved, and just she was taken care of by her first owner. It was just really, really awesome to be able to get that paperwork along with this doll. And whenever she came to me, she was like really, really dirty. But after I cleaned her up, just look at her, guys. Oh my gosh. Can you tell that this doll is like 35 years old? Isn't that crazy? Oh my goodness. And she's like even more pretty than some of the vinyl babies that are out now. So you can see her hands are just like the porcelain hands. I'll go ahead and show you the comparison. Between them. There's one. There you go. And there was a limited edition of how many of these babies there were as well. You can see her eyelashes are, let's see, glued on, let's see. Yeah, they're glued on. First I was like, maybe I rooted them. But nope, they're glued on there. It's really, really well done. And she does have the same wigs on that the other babies do with her bonnet. And I rebrushed it and everything, so it looks really, really nice. I'm going to go ahead and turn her around to show you how her arms are done. I'm going to go ahead and unbutton the back of her shirt, and I'll be right back. Okay, so with her arms, this was the one I was thinking of that I had. You can see here, they had the buttonholes sewn into the arm tops, and then with this, it's waxed, this twine here. And it goes through the arm, around the front of the body, through the other arm's buttonhole, out this arm's buttonhole, and then is tied in like this massive, crazy knot here. that's kind of tucked under and looped around. You can see I was like trying to loop it around and everything, but it has like this waxy coating on it. And then what they did, turn her back around here again. If I pull down the front of her dress, you can see like it's just like the arms hang around the body. And the only reason they don't fall down is because of the poly pellets in the belly. And the only reason that they don't come off is because there's a head on the baby. And that's what I was saying about like a string going around here. Now this, like I said, this was straight from the company, how they did it. And that was kind of interesting to me. More like how the old-fashioned bisque dolls were put together. And then the head is also tied on with that original string that you can see here. So yeah, so that's how that one is put together. And then her legs are also different. She has like this rivet button in. And it's also that very thick string that goes through that one side, and then it goes through the other side, and then attaches to this rivet. You can see it's like that same weird waxy coated string or twine. Like I said, I'm not sure what the difference is between, but this one is very, very tight, so you don't see like that gap in between the material and the string. I wish they would have done that with the arms, and that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to try to find rivet like that and just redo the upper arms on her. But other than that, that she would be all original. And I'm not sure if I'd be able to find original Boots Tyner pantyhose that went with this doll. Otherwise, I'll just get her little preemie white pantyhose and little preemie white booties. And I'll just look off of her paperwork to try and find booties that look very similar. But if I'm lucky, sometimes I can find things like that on eBay or whatever. So yeah, so that is the vinyl reproduction, and I'll squeeze the vinyl here so you can see like there's a little bit of give to it. So it's not like super hard vinyl. And I'm not squeezing, I'm squeezing kind of hard, but like not like hulking it or anything. So yeah, so that's the vinyl. Her head is not weighted, even though it's falling back and stuff. It's actually very, very light. So I'll probably also reweight the head on her. But her paint job is phenomenal as far as making her look like a porcelain doll. Very, very pretty. Just like the pictures. Which is something that's also kind of cool because like if you go on like some doll companies' websites, I'm not going to name any names, but if you go on some doll company websites and you look at the pictures of what you're purchasing, and then you get the doll in the mail, and then it looks so fake compared to like the artist's work that you see on the pictures from that said website, it's kind of disappointing, but she looks exactly like the picture. Like exactly like the picture. And what I read was that like they were sculpted after a real baby, like I think a 6-week-old or something that they were sculpted after. All right, so lastly, we're gonna go ahead and dig into the silicone reproduction. Oh, before I get into the silicone, I totally forgot to show you the back of her head so you can see how the back of the vinyl were. So I want to go ahead and show you, since this is my only original Boots Tyner that I have, I wanted to show you how this looked. All right, so up at the top, you'll see where it says Sugar Britches. And then here it will say designed and manufactured by Boots Tyner Original. Versus, just want to show you what the reproduction, it would actually say on there. Right here, I don't know if you can make that out. Reproduction of a Boots Tyner Original. Well, she is an actual original because this was purchased from the company. And then you'll see that right there in 1986. And then you'll have her number on there. She's number 475. So I just wanted to show you what an original looked like because I forgot to show you the back of her head, that what she looked like actually from the company. And took off her little bonnet so you can see like I fixed her hair so it looks really nice. Okay, next, now we're going to go ahead and get into the silicone. Okay, so finally we have the Boots Tyner Sugar Britches reproduction in silicone, and this was reproduced by Donna's Darlings. And the artist is Donna Kohn, and she is a U.S. artist. And you can see here that the face is